Talking in public is fine. Talking in public is fine. This is not weird. And I'm not really anxious about it. It's fine. You joined me in the woods today for something a little bit different. This is early days for YouTube, right? I'm very much still in the experimentation and the kind of incubation phase of lots of different ideas. So I thought it would be interesting to try something different. So here we are. I turn 25 in 2 months' time, and I feel all types of ways about it, I'll be honest. I feel excited, I feel scared. I also can't believe how quickly the time has gone. I almost can't quite believe it, because I feel like in a lot of ways things feel like exactly the same but completely different. So I thought I'd just journal and just shoot the shit, about all the fucking weird things that I feel, because I'm about to turn 25. Ahead of my quarter life thriving. We're going to call it quarter life thriving rather than quarter life crisis, because I don't really feel like I'm in crisis. I feel like things are changing, things are happening, but it's all good. So we're going to call it quarter life thriving. So ahead of that, I thought I would like to just document what I'm feeling, and I'm going to find another little place to sit. Let's go, bitches. First thing is this weird kind of compressed sense of nostalgia. I don't know whether it's TikTok, I don't know whether it's like the specific age I am, because I'm not I wouldn't call myself like a proper Gen Z, but I'm also not technically a millennial. I'm like an elder Gen Z. What do all these words even fucking mean? Whatever. I feel like maybe it's the trend cycles at the moment, maybe it's something within us culturally, but the nostalgia seems to be for things that have only just happened. I feel like I'm finding myself nostalgic for things that I was doing. I was like, what the fuck is that? Okay, it's fine. There's no people. My little heart was beating then. Anyway, I was finding myself nostalgic for things that only happened like 10 years ago. The whole Tumblr thing. Everyone's very nostalgic for Tumblr at the moment, and for the kind of 2014 aesthetic. 1989 Taylor's version is out. People are vibing to it, and it feels wrong. It feels so wrong. Not wrong, but it feels like it's kind of too soon. If you go back and if you analyse like trend cycles from the 90s and from probably post World War II. So if you look at trend cycles within fashion and how everything kind of cycled through music and fashion in tandem, the 90s was an adaptation of the 70s but with a twist. The noughties was kind of the 60s and the 80s combined. The 10s was kind of the 90s and the 80s combined. At least 20 years ago was the thing that we were referencing. So it does feel weird to be referencing something that only happened 10 years ago. Like, I'm out here on Vinted looking for like American Apparel and like Brandy Melville because it's the kind of stuff where it's like I really longed to dress like that, and I longed for those kind of things when I was a teenager, but I didn't have the money to have them. So now I'm an adult, I'm like, hell yeah, I can go on Vinted and get an American Apparel tennis skirt for £10. And I think the TikTokification of TikTokification, everyone likes to say the word TikTokification right now, and it's getting bloody annoying. If you want to call it that, the TikTokification, disgusting, of trend cycles has kind of meant that two things are true. Trend cycles are definitely shorter than they used to be. So we're cycling through everything much quicker. Things are getting older quicker, which is, I think, why instead of it's like, 20, 30 years for something to come back round, it's like, we're now looking at 10. Also, there's more so there's more competition, really. And I think we're kind of seeing like a return to tribalism. When I was in school, like 10 years ago, people weren't, like, you had cool people and then you had like nerdy people and then you just had people in between, and like that was about it. But even the cool people like were kind of nerdy back then. It's kind of strange. Obviously the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, everything was much more tribalistic, it was much more tied into the music scene. And now, literally in my short lifetime, I feel like everything's kind of flipped and everything's kind of gone a bit weird. And it's something I noticed, something I've been thinking about. It's funny that I fallen victim to it almost, or to the trend cycle. RIP, my autonomous purchasing power. But that's another fucking video, let's be real. I'm not even on TikTok that much, right? It's not my jam, nothing personal. Just don't really want to be on there. Even I feel like this is applying to me, and I'm kind of torn because I'm like, is it the cultural thing that I just said, trend cycles, TikTok, like things are getting shorter, more competition, blah blah blah, and or is it me being older, being like, shit, I'm getting old. Well, fuck, let me reclaim some of this shit from my youth. It's very interesting. I'm very intrigued to see what will happen and how this will unfold, I guess. I'd be interested to know how you feel like trend cycles have or haven't changed and how they've affected you personally, because it's kind of wild out there at the moment, but it's fascinating. So let's go and find another little place to sit, dive into the next topic of my existential quarter life stuff. Yes. Okay, we're moving now. She's on the road. Is it me? Is it the pandemic? I think it's a little bit weird now. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh, COVID this, COVID that. But I can't deny the impact that 2.5 years under lockdown at the start of my 20s has had on my life. I can't ignore it. And to ask me to ignore it would be just ridiculous, really. But that doesn't mean I'm going to dwell on it. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be all doom and gloom about it, because I'll be honest, I don't really feel doom and gloom about it. I do feel like it's changed a lot of things. Fuck knows what my life would look like had the pandemic not happened, but there's no point in even thinking about that. Like, we're here, life is good, this is what it is. We just have to make the best of what we have. My main feeling when I'm discussing this is it comes from a place of acceptance. Believe you me, it's taken a long time to get to this place of acceptance. Weirdly, I only feel like now I'm processing what happened with the pandemic 4 years later, and it is pretty much 4 years now because it's March. So yeah, fuck, wow. So a couple things. When the pandemic happened, when it started, I was at university. I was living in London. At the end of the pandemic, I was not at university. I'd finished and I was not living in London anymore. So those are two ways that it changed, and everything was very weird for a period of time. Being a musician, things were really weird, and I feel like it really has made a massive impact on the industry, on my career individually, and also just everyone's career, everyone's everything. With music, I feel like for me, the things that I thought that I cared about and that I was writing about a lot in my music no longer became relevant to me. I was writing a lot about like going on dates with people, having one night stands and them being shit, and like, you know, just general, you know, I'm a girly, having a good time, shits and giggles, you know. Obviously a lot of those shits and giggles had to stop. And also my life changed. I got a partner, we're still together. I stopped living with friends. I started living on my own for a period of time. And I feel like those life shifts happened during COVID. I find it interesting to think about whether I would have done those things anyway, or whether I did those things because we were in lockdown. Interesting to think about. Just restarting the recording. Just someone on a run there. I'm not embarrassed at all. I'm going to get over myself. God, people who do this all the time, you guys are built different. I will toughen myself up. Anyway, run has gone. Let's get back to it. COVID. yeah, things that I was writing about, they just weren't relevant anymore. And it's just funny to look back on a lot of songs that I wrote just after that time and during that time, because I feel like the last 4 years have been like a real period of self-discovery for me. A lot of things have clicked into place, but literally only in the last 6 months. But a lot of the things that have changed for me in the last 6 months have been kind of building up and have kind of only kind of really solidified themselves in the last 6 months, but have been in the process of incubation, and they have been like happening, and the change has been there since COVID happened. And I think a lot of it because COVID happened. I don't drink anymore. That's a massive one. A lot of my songs were about getting pissed or were about things like that. Maybe I'll talk more about that in a separate video, and or maybe I won't. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, like that's massive. Like I don't go out like that in the same way. I literally turned 21 during lockdown. Like fucking come on, you know. I don't think that we will understand the impact of COVID fully until 20 years' time, and we can look back really objectively and see everything for what it was. I feel like I'm only just starting to understand what happened and how I changed because of it now, 4 years later. Yeah, who knows? There's no real conclusion to this one, so I could keep going forever, but that would be pointless. I accept the things that have happened. I fully accept them. Do I like them necessarily? No, but they are what they are, and we make of it what we will. And I think the main thing that came from COVID that was really positive for me was I finished my final year of university. I graduated in 2021. Basically, we were in person like one time a week in the first term of that final year during 2020 because we were in partial lockdown, and then we were in full lockdown. So for the last term of my university experience, I did not see any of my lecturers or fellow students, which is crazy to say, but it wasn't shit. And I'm actually really grateful for that being my final experience at university, because we were all really keen to not make it shit, we actually bothered to turn up to the classes and be really engaged, be as engaged as we were in class. I was very lucky to be in a class full of people who were very, very studious, very committed to the course, very passionate about what they do. I studied music. So lots of lovely, inspiring musicians that were in my class. And so we made it good. We made it still be a really beautiful and excellent and inspiring experience. I am so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful for all of the things that I have discovered about myself because of the pandemic. And I feel like it's only just starting to kind of crystallise now. Yeah, it's not all bad. It's not all bad at all. And at the end of the day, we just have to accept it. It's happened. But I really am interested to see the kind of sociological studies and the scientific studies that come out over the next 20 years and what the data will show and what people's stories will show. How will people continue to reference COVID? Will people continue to it's like the fucking plague, innit? Like people will continue to talk about it. So I don't know, I just think it's interesting. And yeah, things are good, things are bad. That's life. That's what people say. You're flying high in April, shut down in May, or locked down in March. That would have been clever, but too slow. Let's go to the next spot. Just made some new friends. They were so cute. Bless them. Life doesn't get better. You do. Full of all the corny shit today, aren't I? Just cheese. Absolute cheese. Nothing but. I've had a very, very difficult 6 months. It's been beautiful, but it has been very difficult, and lots of things have happened that have really changed me. I have lost family members. I have quit my job. I've decided to go back to studying. I've decided to move. If I think back to 18-year-old me and all of the struggles that she went through and everything that she was worried about, some of it is kind of the same. A lot of it is different, don't get me wrong, but some stuff is pretty similar. There are always going to be things that annoy me and things that stress me out and things that don't go how I want them to go, because that is just life. Life just does its thing sometimes, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Much like with the COVID thing, coming to it now and being able to accept how I feel about it now, I also feel the same way just about everything in my life. I feel like COVID helped me feel like that and helped me accept things more. But it's true, like the way of the world keeps spinning. Like no matter what happens to you, you know, as bad as it is, the world is thankless. But in a way, that's kind of liberating and beautiful, I think, because the process of getting older, the older I become, the more I feel like the process of getting older is just learning to be a better person, obviously, and learning to deal with stuff in the best way that you can. Learning to be able to think about things positively. Little B coming to say hello there, hello mate. Learning to think about things positively, learning to take the lesson and leave the rest, and learning for me as well to be able to just like accept things and just not get unnecessarily annoyed or upset about things. I feel like there's a lot of things that happened to me when I was younger, lots of things I went through that I held on to for a very long time, and it did nothing but hurt me. I wasn't hurting anyone else, I was just hurting myself. Yes, maybe my life is objectively better than it was at 18. Like, I have more money, yes. I have more freedom, yes. I live on my own now with my partner. I don't live under someone else's roof. Yes, all of those things are true. Why are those things true? Because I made the choice. I got better. Like, my life didn't get better, because nothing happens in isolation, I guess. When you're a kid, when you're young and you go through tough shit and you go through difficult things, people often say to you things like, oh, don't worry, life gets better when you get older. But it doesn't. It actually doesn't, though. Not to be negative, but it's not the life. Life itself is neutral. Life cannot be good or bad. Good things happen, bad things happen, whatever. You are the thing that gets better. You become more of a legend. You get better at dealing with your problems. You get better at setting boundaries. You get better at being a legend. That's all I have to say for today. I hope you enjoyed this new style of video. I'm just experimenting. I'm just shooting the shit. I'm just spitballing. I really want to try and approach this YouTube channel as something that's part of my creative ecosystem, rather than something that's like, I don't know, that like I have to do for performative reasons. I don't really like doing things, you know, for performative reasons. Kind of sucks. I think this is a much better way to approach it, and I just love making shit. I just love it. It's my favourite thing. So if I can make like fun, reflective, like journal entries, and if I can take you along the process of my music and my journaling and my general creative vibes, then hopefully this will be a happy place to hang out. So thanks for hanging out today. I hope you have a great week. Like I said, quit my job, didn't I? Just girly things, you know what I'm saying? I will go into more detail about why I quit my job, and I will do a video on that separately, I think, at another time. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because it does help me out and it means that you get to see more lovely videos from me. So yeah, have a lovely week, and may this amazing weather continue. Did I really need to wear a coat today? that is questionable.